Hello, welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Big Lee, and this week I want to talk about my love of metal miniatures. Today's topic is something that I've mentioned but never really discussed in depth before on this channel. I'm a metal miniatures addict. I'm that type of wargamer. I routinely pay for more expensive metal figures, even if cheaper plastic alternatives are available. So today I want to discuss the origin of this prejudice and ask, does this make me old school or just stuck in my ways? You know, I've reached that stage in the hobby where I'm pretty sure I qualify as a living fossil. You know, not quite extinct, but definitely the kind of specimen that future archaeologists will dig up and brush off and say, ah yes, the late pewter period. I still remember when a proper War Games army came in a file box full of cold, clinking pewter rather than a forest of plastic sprues. Back then, you didn't assemble an army, you forged one. And though I dabbled with plastic and resin, like everyone else, my heart and my wallet, unfortunately, still belong to metal. It's not that I don't appreciate plastic. I know all the advantages. It's lighter, cheaper, easy to cut and glue and convert. The level of digital detail is astonishing. But every time I hold a plastic soldier, I can't help thinking, where's the weight? A metal miniature, on the other hand, feels like it has authority. When you set one down on the table, it doesn't just sit there, it lands with a reassuring thud, like it means business. I've always said that when you drop a metal miniature, the model survives and the floor takes the damage. Now that's a quality metric that I can stand behind. And yes, I know it's irrational. I could probably field 3 plastic armies for the price of 1 metal force. But when I pick up a pewter grenadier, I feel like I'm holding something real. Something that could probably stop a small caliber bullet in an emergency. Plastic just doesn't give you that sense of confidence. And let's be honest, there's a primal satisfaction in knowing that if the game goes badly, your army doubles as an improvised blunt weapon. But for me, it's not just about the heft, it's about the durability. Metal figures endure. I've got veteran models from the 1980s who've survived hundreds of hours of gameplay, multiple storage disasters and at least one pet related calamity. They've been retouched, revarnished, rebased, dropped more times than I can count, and they're still ready for battle. Meanwhile, I've had resin figures that drooped like wilting flowers or shattered, and plastic ones that warped in a hot car like a Dali painting. Metal soldiers, they just carry on stoically, dented maybe, but unbowed. There's also something deeply satisfying about the look of old metal sculpts. You know, the crispness, the personality, the subtle handcrafted imperfections. You can tell a human being actually touched this thing. The Perrys, Mark Copplestone, Ali Morrison, dozens of other sculptors weren't just making figures, they were creating little works of art with putty, wire and sheer stubborn will. When I paint a metal miniature, I feel like I'm having a conversation across time with the sculptor. You can see where the sculpting tools left its mark. You can sense the intention in every curve and crease. It's messy, imperfect and wonderfully human. Compare that to modern CAD designed plastic kits. Yes, they're beautifully precise, frighteningly so, but sometimes they feel a bit too perfect, like they were designed by an AI that doesn't know what mud smells like. Metal figures have soul. You can sense the sculptor's coffee-fueled frustration baked into the pose. That's what I'm painting for, not just the model, but the personality behind it. Of course, working with metal does have its quirks. You can't just clip and swap bits with a hobby knife like you can with plastic. No, converting a metal miniature is more like performing minor surgery. You'll need a drill, a hacksaw and a quiet room to swear in. Pinning becomes a lifestyle choice. That's part of the fun, as far as I'm concerned. The process feels earned. Every conversion, every repair, every tiny pinned arm feels like an act of craftsmanship. And yes, super glue becomes a recurring villain. That moment of quiet terror as you realise you've successfully glued your thumb to the desk and your miniature to your thumb. But honestly, that's part of the charm. Metal miniatures make you work for it, and that effort makes the final product all the more satisfying. There's also something comforting about the idea that my collection could double as a pension fund. Metal miniatures are collectible in a way plastic rarely manages. Discontinued metal ranges become genuine treasures, bits of hobby history that people scour eBay for, like archaeologists seeking lost relics. No one waxes lyrical about a discontinued plastic sprue, but mention a set of old Foundry Command figures or some Citadel barbarians and you'll have people misty-eyed with nostalgia. Metal miniatures don't just hold paint, They hold memories. And that's part of it too. Preferring metal isn't just about material, it's about identity. When I pick up a metal figure, I'm connecting to the roots of my hobby. The days when enthusiasts cast their own lead figures in the kitchen stove and became perilously close to poisoning themselves in the pursuit of tabletop glory. I wasn't quite that old, but I'm pretty close. It's absurd, it's dangerous and utterly glorious. Choosing metal is my way of staying tethered to that tradition, a quiet act of rebellion against the disposable culture of buy it, build it, bin it. My little pewter soldiers will outlast me and possibly the house they're stored in. Now, I'm not blind to reality. Metal is expensive, commodity prices are constantly going up, mould costs rise and casting takes time. Plastic has won the industrial war. It's faster, cheaper, and it's brought the hobby to more people than ever before. Resin has opened up astonishing detail and flexibility for small manufacturers. And I know that, and I'm happy to paint plastic when the budget demands it. But if I have the choice, if I can afford to, I'll always choose metal. It's not logical, it's not efficient, it's love. Heavy, ever so slightly toxic love. So yes, I'm a grognard. I'm stubborn, irrational and probably due to be buried under the weight of my own pewter infantry. But I'm fine with that, because when I review my unpainted lead mounting and hear that faint clink of metal on metal, that sound of tiny armour plates tapping together, I feel something I never quite get from plastic. I feel history, I feel craft, I feel the hobby as it used to be and in some small way still is. So let the world have its featherweight, perfectly moulded, easily assembled plastic marvels. I'll be over here with my heavy metal army, denting tabletops and loving every minute of it, because fashions may change, materials may evolve, but when it comes to my heart and my hobby, metal endures. Now, I'm not unaware of my own hypocrisy. I've just talked at length about my love of metal, while on the table next to me are a set of periplastics. They're lovely models, but by God, I'm struggling with the assembly. My pork sausage fingers are not designed for such delicate work, and I haven't sworn this much over a modelling project in a very long time. I'm making it more difficult, of course, for myself because I've added extra weight to the model while packing the interior cavity of the horses with bits of scrap metal and swapped the flimsy plastic lances for metal ones, but they're still too featherweight for my liking, and I expect there'll be more foul-mouthed exclamations of frustration before this project is complete. Why didn't I listen to my inner voice, my inner demon, and just pay that little bit more for the metal versions? Actually, I bought a metal command stand, so overall I will get some metal into this particular unit. So what about you? Are you a metalhead or a plastic lover? If you had unlimited funds and a structurally reinforced storage area, would you buy metal miniatures every time? Do you, like me, have a perfectly irrational bias for miniatures that are cast in lead or pewter, regardless of the health risks? As always, I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. It's time for a hobby update, and the last week and a bit have been a really busy one for me. The Friday before Partizan, Ray and I hit the road and headed down to Dover for what turned out to be an absolutely fantastic day of gaming, filming and hobby chat with Paul from Pazoot Wargaming. Now, if you've watched Paul's channel, you'll know how full of energy and enthusiasm he is about all things tabletop, and meeting him in person was every bit as fun as we'd hoped. From the moment we arrived, the welcome was warm and the conversation flowed effortlessly, like we'd known each other for years. So we were there, we'd been invited down to film some interviews and a battle report for Paul's channel, and he suggested a game of Bolt Action, which, believe it or not, was Ray and I's first ever go at the system. Now, we heard so much about it and it definitely lived up to the reputation. The game started evenly enough, a lot of overly cautious advances, a couple of bold/reckless flanking moves, until the end game delivered a completely unexpected twist that flipped the anticipated outcome on its head. It was one of those moments you just can't script, and it reminded us why narrative wargaming is so addictive. The first interview with yours truly was posted on Paul's channel on Friday, and I'll put a link in the description below. Please check it out, and while you're on his channel, please hit the subscribe button for more excellent content from Paul. He already has a very good selection of interesting interviews, battle reports and rules reviews, which are produced to a very high standard and well worth your time. And I have to say, between filming and gaming, Paul made sure we were extremely well looked after. Let's just say the food was far too good to resist. We also had time to meet some members of the East Kent Wargaming Club, a newer and very welcoming group based in Langdon, near St Margaret's. It's always brilliant to see local clubs growing and creating spaces for hobbyists to connect. All in all, it was a perfect wargaming day. Great company, great games and plenty of laughs. Huge thanks to Paul for hosting us. And then, of course, on the Sunday, Ray and I and some of the other rejects went and visited the Other Partizan in Newark. So 5 rejects crammed into Ray's car and headed up early so we could all enjoy a big breakfast before the show opened. Once inside, we were once again treated to top-notch demonstration tables, creative participation games and an excellent selection of traders designed to part a weak-willed wargamer from his money. Now, I managed to put out a short teaser video of some of the games just as the show was ending, and a few days later also put out my normal longer show report. Now, this longer version gave me time to label and identify each table with the crub running it, the scowl and the rules if they were identified, and the name of the game. Now, getting this information as correct as I can does slow down the editing process, but I think it's worth the effort. Now, if you haven't watched it yet, please check out the conventions playlist to enjoy this celebration of the hobby that is the Partizan show. Having unburdened myself of my guilty pleasure regarding metal miniatures, did I buy any when I visited the Other Partizan? Well, not as many as I would have liked, but only because I couldn't find what I had on my shopping list. Rest assured though that as soon as I got home, I went online and indulged my love of metal with an order from the Perrys. More Russian Napoleonic cavalry have now arrived, and all is right with the world once again. Or at least it will be when I get these plastic buggers finished. They don't drive me over the edge first. So that's it for this week. As always, please join the conversation in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share, and maybe consider becoming a member for extra content. And please don't forget to go over to Paul's channel, Pazoot Wargaming, to check out the video the interview that we did and that he put out on Friday. So until next week, stay safe, keep gaming, and of course, keep rolling high.